is 6:15 or 6:16 actually, so I'll call to order the monthly meeting in the Hamilton East Public Library Board of Trustees. Please start by joining me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. All right, do I have a motion to approve the agenda or any modifications to the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as provided.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll start with then comments from the public. We have one speaker sign up, Crystal Taylor. So we only have one speaker, so you may have your full 3 minutes. Thank you.
Moving the books that were previously moved, I went in the collection recently and just started searching books that were on the list. And noticed the attention to that, and I just want to say thank you for putting time, money, and effort and manpower back into doing this.
All right, thank you. We will move on to our consent agenda. Are there any items that we need to remove from the consent agenda?
I don't want to remove an agenda. I wish I could. We could prevent Caitlin Coyne from leaving. Our experiential learning, and I'm sad to see that. It would take that everything she can do to. I don't know how they would be bigger and greater thing. They exist somewhere. But thank you.
Yeah, big thank you to Caitlin. All right, our next item is number 6. We're happy to introduce our new director of the Library Foundation, Lisa Longo. Melissa.
If I can back up just real quick, I was going to say just about Caitlin. We just wanted to recognize her for what she brought to this library. You know, if you're not familiar, Caitlin Coyne is the one who launched the Ignite Studio, and then also was responsible for the re-envisioning of what Art in Indiana is. So she will be missed, but we're excited to see what she accomplishes in her next chapter. And then also we have a librarian who is retiring after 36 years. I think her name was in the last board packet, but it was she's retiring after 36 years, and that's Kathy Sassman. And she's a member of our public services department. She is responsible for helping to get the very popular Seed Library launched. And just in addition to that, she's a really excellent reference librarian. And to honor that, we are establishing the Kathy Sassman Excellence in Reference Services Award, which will be given annually to one staff librarians at Staff Development Day. Somebody who exhibits high quality reference skills. She's truly one of the best. So she will be missed, but we, I'm excited for her to enjoy her well-deserved retirement. So moving on to Lisa Longo, is a longtime Fishers resident, and she brings many years of experience in the philanthropy world, and including experience running foundations. So she brings a wealth of knowledge to the position and has already started a lot of the necessary work that we need to get to launch. And there's a lot of work to be done, but we're very confident that she is ready for the challenge. And then she, beginning next month, will be presenting at with updates for you about the challenge. Welcome. Yeah, very cool.
We're excited to get going. Look forward to working with you. The next item on our agenda is the 2025 budget timeline update. I understand we're doing a change in our budget calendar.
Yes, so this year, advisory, he had a conflict. We usually do September, October meetings, and adopting budget in October, and then because of the conflict, he have requested we, do the hearing in August and adoption until September. So, did just want to let people know that.
And that would be for 2025.
Yes, for the 2025.
And then I know it says 2025, I wasn't sure if that it started January.
Yes,
Thank you.
Makes sense, we definitely want to keep him on board.
yeah,
Yes.
He's tournament.
yes.
All right. Quickly to the agenda, our next item on the agenda is feasibility study update from our team on the Meredith Group.
Good evening. Appreciate the time to come in and provide an update for you. Matthew Mason, the Meredith Group, I'm one of our project executives for the owner technical representative side. I know it's been a little bit since we were provided the opportunity to get into the feasibility study and help provide that for you. And so we wanted to again come in today and just kind of provide that quick update. We've already been working through this and want to show you where we're at so far. I'll turn it over to Jack Willis, he's part of our community and economic.
Good evening. Thanks, Matt, for the introduction. Like Matt said, my name is Jack Woods. I think the last time we spoke with this group, see you all in person. But I'm the director of our community and economic development team at Meredith. Again, we work throughout the state with clients, understand growth, socioeconomic, demographic, market trends that affect development and growth. So it's been an honor. Really fortunate that I get to work with Matt's team kind of on the front end of the project that's more related to OR, but apply my team skill set. So wanted to walk through today our initial findings of the feasibility study. This is pretty high level from a presentation standpoint. We wanted to just focus on that for now. The goal, if after the process, is to refine findings, how to look for work. We create full additional data, but synthesize and compile all that into a report that can be shared with the team, the board, excuse me. So after we go through this presentation, questions, feedback, anything you want to take a look at, be happy to do that in this. But in terms of key takeaways, we started by looking using kind of census data, looking back to 2012, past growth that's happened to inform kind of future projection for growth within the library service territory, primarily using your regression methodology, and anticipate what the population of the service area may be by 2032. And based on kind of what we've seen and estimated, it could grow by about 73,000 residents to a total population of 250,000 people, excuse me, by 2042. Comparing that to what's happened over the last 10 years or so, we've seen growth of about 7,000 people. So lines pretty similarly with that. We look towards the next 20 years. And if we move, we also took a look at average household size and total household within the service territory for the library. Again, seeing pretty substantial growth, adding close to 90 or having close to 90,000 households. 5 years, 2042, compared to where we're at currently, about 65,000. So a pretty small increase. And then I think the other thing I'll point to on that one, again, you see average household size. I think that's pretty positive. It is, maybe it looks a little steeper than it actually is. Those are tenths of points on the right side when we about 2.1 right now to just under 2.86. So it is good though because we look at the nation as a whole, households are getting smaller. This suggests that we'll continue to see families living in the service territory and so one of the other, I think this is where we get into more interesting data, is how population is currently distributed throughout the service area and how it is projected to be distributed throughout the service area. So if you look at this map here, we have the service territory. We have mapped out the current locations for the public library and then the proposed location where the site exists for future branch there in the lighter pink color. And then the green dots that you see are other libraries, either in Hamilton County or other parts of the state that are really close to pushing up service territory. Just to kind of give us an idea of where some of the other libraries are and what that might mean for people as we look at growth. So this is right now 2022 data. We're going to look for from the census, but if you look at kind of from a density standpoint, again, a lot is concentrated on the south east corner of the library service area. And when we look at how that changes to 2042, again, still a lot of that concentration in the southeast corner of the service territory. We're seeing more concentration, population density around Noblesville location, but primarily with shift of growth in population occurring easterly, especially southeast area. And then, so we did some heat mapping, kind of show again that density piece and just where people are locating. This shows density of heat map. It's just by our census tract. I think it's a little more interesting to see, but again, this is 2022. That southern portion, the southeast portion has again the greatest density that we look at right now. We move to the 20-year projections. We can compare what that is anticipated to look like, so we can see again getting this or and then so this just looks at change, and where change is concentrated. The last map looked at total number of people, but this really focuses on where that change is occurring. And again, as we can see that most of that growth right there where the site is. The one thing I will note, our census boundaries are pretty large there on the northeast corner. So when we plotted this map, it shows kind of the heat bubble happening right in the middle of that really big census tract on the northeast side, just because of the plots on the center point. That most likely, that red circle, the circle with the red shading in the middle, most of that growth is actually probably occurring for the south census tract, just anecdotally based on what we know about the patterns. But again, I think this is really promising to look where people are going to be locating, or the state people are locating. It's right around that site on the river. We also looked at age and gender and how that distribution shapes out, help inform potential services that the library offers. So this is again 2022 data. We have projected out in the future that we'll get to in a second, but I think this is pretty standard for when a gender, age and gender pyramid, pretty healthy distribution for the most part. The largest age segment being 35 to 39. As we move forward and kind of project this out, I think the takeaway here is that each age cohort is growing from a just sheer numbers and population standpoint. But if we look at it from a percentage standpoint, we'll see kind of tucked in there, right near the center axis. There are shifts that points to the fact that the county is, or sorry, excuse me, the service territory is aging a little bit. Really at 0 to 5, for example, for the gender age cohorts, they dropped by 0.5% to a percentage, whereas some of our older age cohorts are represented a little bit more from percent saving. And then one other question came up as our team's been exploring this and talking with Melissa, which is what does language look like in terms of what language is being spoken by individuals in the service area that we're getting on that may change, and how that may also affect the need for services. So we looked at 2017 census data about language spoken in the home and what the primary language is for residents and households in the service area, and then also compare that to 2022 data. We've had an increase of about 10,000 people who speak something other than English in their household, and we'll note that around half of them who speak another language at home speak English less than very well. So there may be some communication barriers that account for as we look at growth, what services we provide as a library. So that's all the data that I think key points that we wanted to highlight, but again, we're going to work on putting this into a built out report to share with everybody. The other next step that I'll mention that we've started to discuss is a public survey. So reaching out virtually, people have paper copies, just making sure it's accessible as possible to patrons and non-patrons within the service territory to understand what needs are keeping the word service, but for services. Again, I think once we get out of this feasibility piece, the actual building itself, that will be done. So I'll pause here. Are there any questions, comments, anything else that we should be thinking about or if we should be how to support it?
Do you look to on your survey to find out, and I'm not sure how possible this would be, how many people in that new growth area would be going to a new library over there that currently utilize one of our other libraries? Like how many people are going to not be using the other two libraries in order to use that library, or is there a way to figure that?
There is a way to do that. We talked about it with the Long Region Mining Committee before this meeting slightly, and kind of thinking through that. We can have people from whom to do this, identify zip code, to figure out where they're currently living, and then ask them a question about which library range we use. And provide that information to determine where they're living right now and which library branch they're going to. Which I think will start to point us in that direction. So yes, we can take a shot at having some questions that get us closer. Is that all for other things that we should?
No, that's just the concern of how much less patrons are we gonna have at our other libraries if we opened a library there.
And I think that would be helpful from the staffing point of view, like, we have fewer here, we shift staff out there.
Yeah.
How many additional staff we might have.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we can certainly craft a question in the survey that will get us close to answering that question. Sure.
thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had a quick question. The one graph that you showed, the trajectory of population going pretty significantly over the next 20 years up to 42, I guess 18 years. So I serve on the planning commission.
Sure.
That number seems very high because we're like at 6% in Fishers to even be able to build. So I'm not sure. I was just curious where your data was, or was just a projection based on the previous 20 years.
Yeah, so looking back, we use census data to look at what's happened in the past 10 to 20 years to project out the number.
Yeah, I would say it's probably high.
Okay.
Just from, at least in Fishers.
Sure.
I can't really speak to Nolensville, but, you might want to talk to some of the folks either on city council or the city, just because to get some more data, because like I said, we're not approving a lot of building in comparison. You know, we had some huge building years, and I've been on the planning commission since 2012. So just something so that we have more accurate data, that might be something to inquire about that I think we could benefit from having.
Yeah, I think that's the point. So we did, in addition to having those conversations, another thing that we talked through is just now is maybe looking at comp plan of the cities.
Yes, yeah, we have a 2020 or 2040 plan that would help give you how much where we're at today towards that versus the next years till we get to the pregnancy. I think that would be helpful, just to make sure we're not over jumping, you know, oh, we're gonna have maybe we don't build as big or whatever, we build bigger because I'm wrong. So just to ask the question, I think would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the counterpoint to that is the limitation that has with the city of Fishers or even the city of Louisville, whereas right now several large subdivisions being built in Wayne Township within about a mile profiles from work.
Yeah.
That area, and that's where all the land is to be developed. And everybody's pushing. Yeah, I think water slides to it slides to the east.
Yeah.
So I didn't see the building as I know.
I'm sure, yeah, it's just not gonna be that, what it's been the last 20 years in Fishers. I don't see it, but I do agree with Wayne Township is gonna grow.
Yeah.
Other questions or discussion? All right, thanks so much for your.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I apologize for deviating from the agenda. Looks like we had to skip the update from the director regarding July 15th.
So, I just many of you are aware of what happened on Monday, July 15th. So on that afternoon, a police chase ended on State Road 32 just south of the Noblesville Library. And one of the two suspects ran into the library building. Within minutes, we had officers from the county sheriff, the Noblesville police, and the state police were all on site. And I was at that time only, it was Lisa's first day, and we had toured in Noblesville, and we had just come down to Fishers to do our tour here when we got the phone call of, oh, you need to come back. So we just want to say our leadership team and did an amazing job responding, getting the building evacuated quickly. Everyone was safe during this. So we're really thankful for our staff and the patrons who were there at that time, that everybody exited safely and cooperated, and we feel very fortunate for how things went, and we're really grateful for our local law enforcement and for how the situation was handled in keeping our staff and community members safe. And then also I just wanted to say that we do take the safety and security of our staff and patrons very seriously. So we were all started back in several months ago reevaluating security updates and things like that. So that is ongoing, and the information we observed from that day will be absorbed into that planning, so that we can make sure that we are providing the safest, most secure building possible.
You might want to add that some of the other contracts are being reevaluated. You know, like it.
Yes, yes. We are reevaluating some of our services were impacted based on some technology upgrades that were happening, and we were very fortunate that we had ones working in our public service in the area, but they were not working throughout the building. It was so we had some major outages that could have been much worse than it was if we didn't have if things were more widespread. But just with even some of our IT that was out, it was a problem that could have been much worse. So we are reevaluating those the contracts we have with our IT.
Does it seem favorable if you cancel that?
We're back.
Yes.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion on that incident? Thank you so much, Melissa.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, now back to get us on track. Number 10 on the agenda, update with those grounds committee that yesterday. Tuesday. Yeah.
I can provide that update. I think easy jumping off points, talk about security. The director asked some of the buildings and grounds to be present for meetings in the future regarding building security and cybersecurity. When she and Roger, the security consultant, meet local organizations and agencies. I have volunteered to distribute to do so. Understand my presence will be so we can learn about what's going on and speak for the committee, let alone 7 months of work. And I hope to report back to some feedback of my experience. The other main thing that we've been dealing with, finding buildings and grounds report back to the board. We see Kevin and Greg every meeting, we get that very structured update from our architect. But as you know, construction projects are coming to close, having reached substantial completion. And now moving to punch list items. Greg's update is we have an agenda has the details on it. Much of the discussions and forthcoming in the last meetings maybe surrounding various claims, change orders, the overall pay application with our alternative general contractor issues part of the project. At this point, the library is poised to participate meaningfully in mediation to resolve some of the disputes, financial dispute that we have between the library and Laurel Turner. In fact, library and Laurel Turner are already begun the process of identifying a mediator to help us through that process, attack the parties. But mediation is only feasible with each party who's present in the mediation. Whether you all are with that, if somebody who's present actually has settlement, it's probably setting us the ultimate decider. Toward that end, and the other resolutions that we have in the course of governance this board, I would propose the following motion: that we authorize as the board, we authorize board president Craig Seavey, who just sit on the committee between our presentations, to participate in mediation on behalf of the full board, such that he has settlement authority, but that any settlement that will be determined in the mediation process should be treated as provisional and informal approval action by the settlement.
I second that motion.
I don't know if you have any questions about that motion or what's going on in buildings.
I don't quite know it all, but you can tell me later. I don't really know everything that's going on, but
Well, it's
part of the road.
so as the construction project goes on, there are small changes, things that are affected. And there are disagreements about what is owed and from the two sides. And so our number, and their number are far enough apart that we somewhat recommended a resolution.
Sounds good.
And hopefully mediation would solve and maybe avoid anything more significant than now.
And Beth, are you familiar with mediation?
Yes. Or how it works.
Yes, so it is a requirement that each side participate in good faith. And so by appointing a representative with settlement authority, you satisfy that requirement of participating in good faith. By the same token, you all can't give away your authority to spend money. So he's authorized to go and negotiate and settle, but he still has to bring it back for final action by the board. And so he's going to go away and sit with the construction lawyers and Turner's lawyers and mediator and try and hash out the differences and then bring you back the number that he says was the best that they could do. And, you know, the good news is he's a lawyer too. He's been in a bunch of mediations. And so I think it is probably logical that he go off and do that.
Yes.
Jerry, our construction attorneys are currently crunching through the numbers exchanged and with the documentation crunching through that to have some appropriate figures. Yes, so there's no further discussion. All in favor of the motion? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Any other further discussion on the update from the building grants committee? Thank you, Andre, and thank you for volunteering to be liaison for us. All right, next item on the agenda is the subject of our recurring board meeting schedule. Now, Melissa brought this up because we have certain deadlines to perform certain functions, and we're closing some of those that had our meeting for Thursday because if there were a forum problem, we cannot make a deadline. So, did you have proposals third Thursday?
Well, I wanted to bring this for discussion. I had no specific date in mind, but my concerns are with the fourth Thursday. One, we're rescheduling every other word is under all the weeks for the days. And then there, specifically with the budget, this year we are doing an August, September adoption, and we can continue that. But if we were to return to the September, October adoption, if for some reason we don't have a quorum on that fourth Thursday, we don't have enough time to post notice for another meeting and hold it. And in that case, we would be forced to adopt last year's budget. So it's happened to some and there's other things that can cause a library or a local government organization to do that, and it's really, really bad. So, it's just something I would like us to consider. And then the other thing is, we are required, one of the things in the code is that we do have a monthly meeting. So again, if it's that fourth Thursday and we don't have time to schedule another meeting, make a meeting, if there's a forum issue, it just, if it's possible, or I just wanted to open it up for discussion to look at either a different day or different week. And it's, I don't know if it's something we have to go on tonight, but just to bring it up for discussion.
I guess the question I have is, what timeline works for you and your staff to compile the information to report to us?
I would probably not the first week. Probably not the first week. I think we can, most of the staff have all of their documentation in for us within that first week. So I would say, I mean, the second week would be a stretch, but we could make it happen. And I think once we adjusted to that, like, it would be fun. And then, I mean, I would say the third week would be ideal, but I guess that is up to your schedules as well. And this isn't something that's set in the bylaw, so it will at some point require, if we do decide to change for 2025, we would have to update the bylaws.
So you could do that in the same motion, is to change the date and amend the bylaws.
So we're not looking to change any in 2024.
No, I think that
Okay.
we are, I think, especially since we have the budget out and is set for, the hearing is set for August and then adopted in September. Should something happen, we haven't been able to vote on one. To just meeting, or we can do that.
So for the August meeting, would we be doing the budget at that meeting as well?
Yes,
Because I know Beth is gonna be gone, so I didn't know.
so that's just the hearing, the vote, that's just the hearing where it's presented to the public and they can come in and make comment. And then the adoption vote will be September, so that's when you'll have.
Okay.
And you'll have access to see the budget before. But it's mostly, it's a chance for the public to come and speak about the.
Be proactive in avoiding potential problems. I guess for sake of discussion, we already do have 2 of our monthly meetings, November, December on the third Thursday. No problems with third Thursday.
Our association for Thursday.
It's the only other person you have to ask would be Bill. So if you want to take a vote today, or it sounds like we have obviously later in the year to amend the bylaws.
I'll make a motion for 2025 schedule to start on the third Thursday of the month. And amend the bylaws accordingly.
I'll second the motion. All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. We'll amend the bylaws for a regular meeting third Thursdays. And we'll switch to November, December. All right, next item on our agenda is the renovation update. I'm not sure I see Greg.
But we got a message with the, not long for the board meeting that Kevin has a family emergency. It's not able to. I think the doctor is going to speak to yeah, the things that I'm aware of. Okay, thank you. All right, so with Fisher, we're awaiting the final completion of the punch list item. The final payment application was submitted in April for Fisher from Ferguson. They've been primarily working in Noble Sills that have done some work here in the Fisher branch. Payment application 028 was submitted June 24th. And then with the balance to finish, 662,936, of which 493,316 is the remaining balance. This is something we are working with JCI to draft the controls to develop a plan to resolve our fire level strobe issue. So when we had our inspection, The new fire alarms are blinking out of sync with the old fire alarm, which is a violation that was noted, so we are working with housing control to get that to address that. Right now, we're working under a temporary occupancy permit, so we need to get that fixed so that we can have an official occupancy permit. We also. Oh, so there was also a concern with, that was noted during the inspection that, we need to seal off some of the ceiling parts in the, where our server room is, because there's some, like I'm doing that, just describing all these things, but there, in case of a fire, the fire suppression needs to be concealed or controlled into that room, and so right now the ceiling panels are not secure, so we're working on how to get that secured, so. Okay, and then moving on to the punch list items are being completed. We have 8 outstanding change order proposals for added work and credits. They're regarding phase 2, they're continuing to work on punch list items. We're set to begin flooring work in the exhibit space that's on the 2nd floor. If you walk into the Knoxville Library and you look up, you'll see a big glass panel, which I think is covered by paper, so you'll just see a big wall of paper, but that is supposed to be the, like an exhibit area, and so that, space is just awaiting flooring. So, the teens area renovation is wrapping up, so that should be opening back up soon. The the public services staff area and the area just outside of it is, nearing completion, and we did, carpet and paint in that area. And then we're getting ready to start work on the ground floor restrooms. So if anyone is feeling nostalgic for the old fish theme, if those are the only spaces left. If you go into the children's and middle youth services bathrooms, they still have that fish decor out there. So those are all going to be upgraded. We also have 2 restrooms that are going to be combined into one for the family restroom. So that's the like the big work that's still outstanding at Middlesville, and it's getting ready to be we'll start that soon. And then the final completion for the work is August 22nd, but maybe longer depending on those bathrooms. They're small, but there's a lot of time.
So maybe opening events in September, October.
Yes, the grand reopening the back construction.
Any questions or discussion on renovations? All right, then I'll turn it back over to Melissa for the director's report.
Okay, so we mentioned that we were working on security upgrades for the library, and we do have the RFP has been issued for security upgrade, and we are accepting responses. Roger Goods, our security consultant, also began testing the emergency alert system in the library. So this is how we make an announcement to evacuate our any sort of an emergency situation. And then moving on to our Wi-Fi install. So we, if you have used the Wi-Fi in Fishers at all in the past several, it's not good. So we embarked on a project using with partial matching E-rate funds to upgrade our wireless access points and in both buildings. And so there were some hiccups in that installation. We did lose some Wi-Fi capabilities here in Fishers, and then a whole host of other problems in Noblesville. We are rapidly approaching having all those completely ironed out, and thank the public for their patience as we went through this. And it was a bumpy ride, but once it's completely done, it will be significantly that way. And then the new cleaning service will begin on August 1st. And then I just wanted to talk about our summer reading program. And it's our biggest program every year, and this year our numbers have increased dramatically. So we're seeing more participation in the actual reading. We're seeing more participation in that program. So I'm really excited to see what our final numbers are, but just a kudos to all the staff, because it it's an exhausting, it's a spring Pan marathon all summer, so it's an exhausting time of the year, but, I think that, you know, the community has enjoyed it, and, our staff has done a really great job of planning and activities for this. Then also want to highlight Kelsey, I don't know if she's still in here, she received, an award from ALA, and she was one of the people who was out there for the conference, and so she actually got to accept her award in person. And we celebrated the grand reopening, or the grand opening of the Crossroads Discovery Center in June, and some of you were able to make it, and if you haven't been able to come up there to check out the space, and we encourage the public as well as all of our members to go check it out. It's got some very cool new features, and excited to offer that to the public. Our outreach van has arrived, and it is in use. So we do have it up with a temporary identification, a magnet on the side of the way getting the final wrap, which I believe we can announce is we are having, it's going to be designed by the local workers who have done the some of the murals they did the mural here on 116th Street, they did the Pleasant Street mural, so they've done quite a few things. I'm excited to see what they found. And the last thing I want to wrap up with is we are really excited to finally launch our yard games are ready to go out and be circulated. So I just wanted to share what that's going to look like. The public will see, well, on the shelf, it looks like a DVD case, and it just has a description of what the game is, and then you'll take it out to the circulation desk, and you can check it out. And I believe they're the same rules as our regular board games, but we do have some outside. If anybody wants to look at them, you can check them out there and connect. So, and we have, I think, a few more that are coming, but we're excited to start this. And I just want to say these are not books, and so it's really weird the way you have to handle them and get them ready to go out and to be circulated. So a lot of work from a lot of people. So Brad and Joseph were really instrumental in just getting this off the ground because it's a collection that they believe in. And then in the planning phase, we had Anita, Amber, and Liz worked a lot on figuring out what the process is need to look like. And then Michael, Anders, and Melissa Petro, and then Sherry and Sabina were getting the materials in, figuring out what bags we put them in, how do we catalog them. So it was a lot of people who came together, and they just did a really great job. I'm really excited to offer this. Is that in both branches? Yes, we have them in both branches, and then like the games, you know, they can turn in the branch, and we have is it the same collection? Is the same offerings in both branches? Okay, so the games we have the same. And then this is a collection where, you know, we're starting with this. We hope we can expand it, but we're going to start with this and see how it goes and what we learn along the way. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Melissa? Thank you so much. All right, finally, any other old or new business?
I have a question based upon the lady that spoke earlier as far as the books all being moved back. Can you maybe elaborate on what's coming up? Everything moved back, the manga books did not get moved back, or did, or, you know, just, I mean, that seems that we have a process for reconsideration, just to pick up the collection and do that. As much as people didn't like it the other way, you know, I just want to make sure we're not doing just flip it without anybody.
Yes. So the items that there were teen items that were moved from young adult over to young adult over to adult. Some of them have moved back, and some of them will stay an adult. And so our collection services team, and Joseph, speak correctly if I'm speaking correctly. Joseph is our director of collection services. So some of them will stay in the adult section based on what the selectors determined was the best place for them. So some of them did move back, and some of them, and that was based on changes to the collection development policy that was adopted last year. So some of them stayed and some moved back. So it's not, there wasn't like all of this type of book stayed and all of this type of book moved back. It was, they were It was a decision that they looked at the different types of books they need and made those decisions. So I believe it was a lot of manga, the graphic novels. Yes, so that has not been evaluated and it was, I think, mostly just the fiction that we have been reviewed.
Is there any concern that we didn't go through the process of reconsideration or from, just from a policy?
Right, so this part is like, based on the policy, this is like, these were the books that should be in the teen zone, and then the next step would be if there is, you know, if something did move back, if somebody has a concern about, well, we would like you to consider that, like that, then that would be, we would initiate the request for reconsideration process.
Thank you.
Okay, any other old or new business? If that's the final item on our agenda, so I'll adjourn the meeting.